The following segments are pre-recorded and sponsored by Longworth Productions.
Fair housing on Triad Today. Hello everyone, I'm Jim Longworth and welcome to another edition of Triad Today, coming to you once again from the beautiful Senior Botanical Garden in Kernersville. We'll tell you more about the garden later on, and later on is when the roundtable shows up. We'll get into all sorts of controversial issues with them. Between now and then, some important news and information and some great guests to deliver that information, so stay with us the whole time. Where we want to start, though, two good friends of the show from Duke Energy. Of course, my good buddy Hank Henning, who's Director of Government and Community Relations for Duke Energy, his special guest today, and our friend Sue Clement. She's Senior Products and Services Manager. Good to see both of you.
Thanks for having us.
Hank, I'm going to start out with you. You have been on the show, and Jimmy and folks talking about all the ways we can save energy, and I appreciate that. You bring us some good information, but you've sort of taken that a step further because in making things, our homes, more energy efficient by helping us look for contractors and really get things done. So tell us about that and why Sue's along today.
Yeah, so you hit the nail on the head. There are a lot of great programs that we have that people just aren't aware of, from energy efficiency and other things. And one of them is actually contractor referrals, where contractors are actually vetted. People will call us up and, we want to do this or that to our house and it's energy related. Who do we call? So we thought it'd be great to have Sue come on here and explain the free service we provide through our website that maybe people aren't aware of.
Right, and Sue, you emailed me and said that the name of this service is Find It Duke. Correct. Which makes sense. So tell me exactly what that is, why it was created, and how customers are going to benefit.
Sure. So Find It Duke was created back in 2016 as a contractor referral network, a service. Duke Energy has partnered with many contractors across the territories for many, many years. We call them our trade ally partners.
And they're reliable.
They're very reliable. And we wanted to find an easy way for our customers to also connect with those contractors. Okay. So Find It Duke was created, and we provide fully vetted contractors that we trust, and we hope our customers will trust as well.
Now, how does this Find It Duke tool or app, or what do you want to call it, how does this whole thing work?
So customers can visit finditduke.com. They can select a service that they're interested in having help with.
Okay.
And fill out a short form, select the service that they want, and then we'll provide them up to 4 contractors in their area that can do the work for them.
Because you've got a lot of different categories of work. Are there, 3 main categories or something?
About 6.
6 categories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what seems to be the most popular referral request that you're getting already?
Requests for heating and air conditioning referrals.
Oh.
That's the big one. And mainly because we have a lot of really great referral rebates that go along with that to help offset the cost.
Right.
With the seasons changing now, it's a great time to come and find a good contractor that can give you the good advice you need if you need to upgrade or maybe just do a repair.
Yeah, and full disclosure here, Sue and I have talked off camera before about rebate programs that that I was interested in, our family was interested in, and so that comes into play too, because you want to do certain things, put new systems in, you may get a rebate from that, so that's a good thing on top of the fact that you're getting some good reliable people to do it, right?
Absolutely, and our contractors in Find It Duke will do the rebate on behalf of the customer.
They will,
yes.
So they'll do that legwork for
yep.
you. Wow, and that can be hundreds and hundreds of dollars on various units that you put in, so that's good. Hank, as we wrap up, this sounds like it's a win-win for everybody, for the consumers, for you guys at Duke, right? I mean, everybody's winning.
Absolutely, and the name of the game is customer service for us, and there's a lot of great information on the website, and people oftentimes think, okay, Duke recommends this, or someone recommended I do this to my house, how do I do it? And just encourage people to go to our website and explore some of these ideas and things like Find It Duke, and it can really answer a lot of questions for them.
All right, since you mentioned that, and Sue already alluded to it, let's go on screen here. You can see finditduke.com, of course, finditduke.com, and that's where you can fill out the form and what kind of requests you have. And the general website is duke-energy.com. Hank and Sue, thanks for making things a lot easier for folks who need to get things energy efficient and maybe put a few dollars in their pocket too. Thanks for everything.
Sure,
Thanks again.
absolutely.
We'll be right back after this.
It's hard to believe the Safe Sober program has been going strong for over 30 years.
And over 600,000 students have made the pledge to stay safe and sober on prom night. Griff, it's had a huge impact on our community.
Yeah, you're right, David. And now we're making sure the message continues year-round.
So everyone can join us in supporting our students.
Learn more and take the pledge at safesober.com, sponsored by Daggett Schuler.
Back now on Triad Today. Always glad we can spend a few minutes with some of the good folks who keep things running in the city of Greensboro. Do so many things for all of us 24/7, behind the scenes most of the time. But we're bringing this young lady out of the behind of the scenes into the front of the scenes. Love Jones. She is Director of Human Rights Department of the city of Greensboro. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
As you said off camera, and bringing sunshine with you with that yellow outfit, we appreciate everything.
I do what I can.
I know it. Hey, look, Fair Housing Month is officially recognized by the city of Greensboro, and I'm wondering, why do we celebrate that every year?
Well, as you're aware, the Fair Housing Act of 1968 pretty much outlines that every human being, regardless of any identity marker, has the right to fair, safe, and affordable housing. And in Greensboro, we realize that a sense of belonging has everything to do with the preservation of dignity.
Right.
And that Fair Housing Act really lifts up the importance of dignity with how people are able to access a place to live. We know in Greensboro that belonging is the bedfellow of dignity, and so we keep celebrating it as a way of saying to our community, we value what it means for you to have equal access to fair and safe housing.
Absolutely, but let me ask you a stupid question. What if somebody comes up to you and says, Ms. Jones, haven't we made a lot of progress? Why is the Fair Housing Month even relevant anymore? Do we still have things we need to do?
Well, absolutely. The reality is that we have made strides. There is more equitable access to housing in the community, but the truth is sometimes we still have challenging or bad actors who are making decisions about giving access of housing to people based on identity markers and preference and things that go against what the core of the Fair Housing
Unfortunately,
Act is.
there's always going to be some bad apples, some landlords who are too greedy, or maybe they're racist, or whatever their problem is. And you got to keep an eye on that. Now, you already partially answered this question, but who exactly is protected by these fair housing laws? Give me an example.
Everyone is protected. There are no particular populations that file fair housing claims.
Okay.
Anyone who has a concern about not getting access to housing is eligible to file. And we do have examples with cases like being disabled and not having accessible accommodations in the home.
Yeah.
Or familial status where people with children are being discriminated against.
Especially scary when you're elderly and there might be some discrimination involved. That's doubly scary. Hey, I understand you sent me an email. I think it might have been Carla sent me an email about a big event that you're sponsoring. What is it? When is it? What's the theme of it?
Yes, so the Fair Housing Luncheon for 2025 is themed Fair Housing, a Wicked Problem.
Okay.
It takes place on April 22nd at noon at North Carolina A&T State University in Dee's Ballroom. And the focus of the luncheon is going to be looking at that systemically layered problem that is fair access to housing.
Now, what can I expect to see and learn and hear at the luncheon?
A host of things. You're going to have a panel with various perspectives, researchers, students, housing providers, as well as agency leaders who are going to talk about what it means to unpack the very layered problem of fair access to housing. You're also going to see the Transcending Leaders cohort at North Carolina A&T who have dedicated their whole school year to looking at fair housing access as a wicked problem, and their posters will be displayed for the research they've done.
And of course, somebody might be watching this and say, well, I live over in this subdivision in such and such, and I'm really not connected to what you're talking about. I mean, the question is, why should everybody in the community get involved in this conversation?
Because of the fact that we do thrive as a community, wanting it to be the most desirable city, a place where people want to come and live, we have to all think about what it means for people to obtain housing as a first step in establishing their connection and their footprint to the city. If we really want a broad stroke as far as the faces and spaces of our community to be filled with belonging, we have to all care about what it means to have fair, safe, and affordable housing.
Again, the luncheon in April, what was the date you said? April what?
22nd.
22nd. Let's go up on screen, greensboro-nc.gov, or you can call 373-2038 very quickly. Is there a fee? I mean, what's the cost per person?
Yes, the cost per person is $35.
All right. Thank you for helping to improve quality of life for everybody around here. I just appreciate everything you do.
Well, thank you again for having me so I could share.
Okay. We'll be right back after this. Hi, I'm Jim Longworth, reminding you that Triad Today also airs on GTN Spectrum Channel 13 and streams on WFMY Plus, free on Roku and Amazon Fire. Back now on Triad Today, let's talk about moms in a very special way. And we have two very special people that are going to tell us all about some things coming up where we can help moms. Of course, on my immediate right, Charlie Hainsworth. She's Director of Community-Based Research and Family Engagement for Action for Equity, Winston-Salem. And she is joined by our good friend, Tiara Morris, lead researcher for something called By Mothers. Good to see y'all.
Thank you for having me.
Glad to be here.
Charlie, first tell us about this By Mothers project. And what is that, and what kind of partnerships involved? What's the scoop?
Yeah, so By Mothers is a collective partnership between Atrium Health and Action for Equity and a group of Black mother researchers from right here in our community.
Now, what in the world, what are you saying when you're training Black moms in research? What kind of research are they doing? How is it used? Help me out on that.
Yeah, so we did what we call a mixed methods approach. And so that's a combination of surveys and focus groups. So we wanted to get some qualitative and quantitative data, and then we analyzed the data and cross-referenced it to develop a report.
Tiara, what kind of findings are we getting from this kind of research? What are we learning?
So from our research, from the different methods that we utilize, we got very rich qualitative data from our focus groups, and then we were able to extract quantitative from our surveys.
Right.
So we're able to take both of those to identify trends and uplift some nuanced experiences of women in the county.
Now, how has all this either dispelled or affirmed things that we think we know about Black maternal health? What's it telling us?
It's confirming the disparities, for one, but it goes a little deeper. So with the methods that we collected the data, we're able to uplift those experiences and get disparities on a deeper level. So we're hearing about the lack of support. We're hearing about the social determinants of health and how these things are affecting these women's lives, daily lives, and the lives of their children.
Right. And Charlie, now what is your hope for this project? Long term, even short term, but long term?
Well, from our data, we developed a report that is available to the community. In addition to that, we developed a list of recommendations that stem directly from the data, and we hope to use that to advocate for policy changes, in our government and in our healthcare systems.
You're shaking your head. Yes, that's what you agree?
Yes, I'm just hoping that it will be a catalyst for those changes, because change tends to take some time. So I'm just hoping it'll kind of put a little spark so that women can not just survive birth, but they can thrive, and so can their babies.
Collecting data can be a very tedious thing. Research can be a very tedious thing. But I'm going to ask both of you very quickly before we run out of time a personal question. What do you get out of this personally? What's the gratification you get from working on this project?
We heard a lot from mothers in the community and some of the stories and traumas that they experienced during their pregnancies. I'd like to see that change. I'd like to see Black women be able to have healthy, happy pregnancies and bring healthy babies into the world just like everyone else.
What do you get out of this, Tiara? What's your personal gratification from doing your job?
So for me, it's the alignment. I'm a community doula, so I'm in the community supporting women, doing my due diligence to help combat these disparities. So being able to be on the other side of it and implementing the change that we want to see, that's all the gratification that I need.
Absolutely. Up on screen, I want to do a couple things here. First, you can go to this website, Action 4, and that's the number 4, Action 4 Equity WS, which stands for Winston-Salem. So it's action4equityws.org. And we also want to do a shout out and thanks to our good friends at Kate B. Reynolds Charitable Trust who made this segment possible. We appreciate their help with that. KBR.org is their general website. Ladies, thanks for all you do for so many people.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this.
North Carolina's economy is growing, bringing new businesses and opportunities. The need for electricity is growing too. At Duke Energy, we're meeting the challenge, providing even more electricity that's cleaner, reliable, and that stays affordable. We're getting out of coal and reinvesting in our communities with a diverse, balanced mix of energy sources and making targeted upgrades to the grid so that North Carolina can thrive in a smarter energy future.
Back now on Triad Today. Always glad we can spend a few minutes with Kevin Baker. Of course, you know him from being on the show many times before. Executive Director of Piedmont Triad International Airport. A very, very busy man with a lot of responsibilities, but we appreciate you dropping by. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Well, good, except I'm a little confused. You sent me an email not long ago, and you said you wanted to talk about something called MRO. Now, I know you aeronautical guys and everything get real fancy with these abbreviations, but you're talking over my head. Now, what is MRO and what does it stand for, and why do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, well, MRO in our world is maintenance, repair, and overhaul. So basically think service station for airplanes.
Okay.
And I think why it's important to talk about here is that that's where a large part of the base of our employment is. We've got a lot of MROs on the airport, and a lot of people for many decades have been working in that industry.
Let's list some of the companies, because when people ride by the airport and they've read things in the newspaper, they'll recognize some of these names from headlines and whatever. Give me 4 or 5 examples of MROs.
Yeah, so there's HAECO, of course, which most folks know, and that's the largest of them. Marshall, our new tenant, will be starting here in the next few months. They're also a fairly large global MRO. And then there's smaller ones such as Honda and Cessna who have MROs for their own operations. And then even our fixed base operators, which is the place where you can keep an airplane if you own an airplane or if you need to get it maintained. That's Signature Aviation and Corey Aviation.
Now, what does it mean? You also sent me something one day about a term called a third-party MRO. Now, what is that, and how is that different from? Are there just certain ones that you mentioned that are third-party MROs and ones that aren't?
Yeah. So the easiest way to think of this is to put it in terms of an automobile. You've got a Honda automobile, for instance. You can choose whenever you need maintenance to be done on that. You can choose to take it to the Honda dealership, and that's the MRO. Or you can take it to any service station that you want to use, which would be a third-party MRO.
I got you.
Working for, they can work on that vehicle or on that airplane in this case.
Let me circle back to something you mentioned, because I should have asked this before, but when you talked about employment, overall, not just with MROs, but overall, what kind of employment numbers? How many people are out there in or around the PTI campus that are working?
Yeah, there's roughly 9,000 people that are working there right now, and more to come with Marshall adding on soon. The MRO portion of that is probably roughly a quarter of it, I would say, 2,000, 2,500, something like that.
What does that mean, again, without talking over my head too far, which isn't hard to do, but what kind of economic impact are we talking about for for this area, for the community, when you have that many people working?
Yeah, so the state comes up with these numbers each year. These are not my numbers, but the impact of the airport is $9 billion a year to the state's economy. The airports in general are huge parts of the economic output of the state, roughly 10%. If you aggregate all the airport's output as a percentage of the state's domestic product.
Good grief. Before time gets away from us, I'm just curious, and maybe this is going to sound like I'm just throwing you a question so that you can brag on yourself or brag on the airport, but Kevin, what is it that you think attracts so many of these companies to PTI, to the PTI campus? I mean, what is it? What's the draw?
Well, there's a lot of things, but we've got a set of assets that really doesn't appear anywhere else in the country, and in my opinion, in the world. And that is, it starts with location, where we are in the world, in the country. I think that, the cost of doing business, the cost of living, we're both very low. It's a great place to work, great place to live. You've got roadway systems around us that are, I think, just completely unparalleled in this country. And then, zooming down to the airport, you've got an airport with long parallel runways. You've got 1,000 acres of land. And then, finally, we've been purposefully heading in that direction for a long time and planning for these companies to come here and have a place to go.
Now it's coming to fruition. Before we wrap up, I never ask you anything personal because we got so many other things to cover that aren't personal, but how old were you when you first were a passenger on an airplane?
I was 5 years old. My parents and I flew Northwest Orient Airlines to D.C., where my brother flew his F-4 in. He was in Vietnam at the time, and flew an F-4 into Andrews Air Force Base, and we went to see him.
5 years old. Were you excited?
Oh, it was crazy excited, yes.
That's great. That's neat. So I learned something about you. Up on screen, flyfrompti.com gives you all sorts of information on that. I hope you will check that out. To Kevin Baker for sharing a few of his precious moments with us, and back he goes to the airport. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, Jim.
All right, we'll be right back after this. Hi, I'm Jim Longworth, reminding you to catch my column Longworth at Large and Yes Weekly every week. It's available throughout the Triad, or you can go online, yesweekly.com. Back now on Triad Today, just about time for the roundtable, but a quick shout out to the good folks here at Senior Botanical Garden in Kernersville. Check out the website, check out the garden, check out the roundtable. We happen to be here at the garden, and on my right, but always political left, Ogie Overman is here. Dave Briggs, who was former director of High Point Theater and did a great job over there, and now he has his own consulting company. Keith Granberry, back from World Travels, and he's about to go out again, helping people all over the world, and is, of course, founder of Helping Hands Consultants. Guys, here we go. State legislators have introduced a bill that would prohibit children under 14 from having a social media platform account. Supporters say this will protect kids from cyberbullying and porn, while critics say children can actually benefit from social media. Do we need this law or not? Ogie.
I actually support it, as strange as it might sound. Kids just live on their phones. It's just kind of depressing. I mean, it's like the apocalypse is near.
No account of under 14?
Well, who's gonna actually?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Monitor it.
This?
Yeah.
I don't think it's possible.
Keith?
It's not possible, and there's a lot for kids to learn on the internet. It's just the parents have to be able to teach their kids what to do and what not to do.
Absolutely. San Diego has become the first city in America to prohibit stores from offering app-only coupons. Reasoning is that people shouldn't have to pay more for a product just because they don't own a smartphone. Do you believe app-only coupons are discriminatory against elderly and other folks, or would you like to see Triad cities ban them anyway? Okay.
Yeah, I don't like it. You pull into McDonald's and are you using your app? They don't ask you for your order.
Right.
Are you using your app? No, I'm not. I want a hamburger.
Right.
Well, while that's annoying, it also happens with newspapers and magazines. They have their ads in it. If you don't buy the newspaper, you don't get their ad.
App-only coupons, fair or not?
I think it's fair, but I think there should be other ways in which people can get these coupons as well. There has to be alternate ways instead of just an app.
Actress Jenna Fisher, who was on The Office and other things, a breast cancer survivor, wants all employers to give their female employees paid time off in order to have an annual mammogram. No argument that mammograms save lives. They're very, very important. But now, if this becomes a mandated thing for employers, will it present any problems? Or will they have to give paid leave for men to have a prostate exam, that kind of thing? What do you think about all this, Ogie?
Why not? I mean, as a prostate cancer survivor, I think it's a great idea. I wish I'd known I had prostate cancer before I found out.
So across the board, should there be a mandate for a paid time off for these tests?
I think it would be appropriate for all businesses to have time off for medical procedures.
Okay, Keith.
I don't think there should be a mandated time off. I mean, there's a lot of other issues, health issues that people have. are we going to give someone time off for all of these other health issues? They should be able to have that part of their time off and go do that themselves.
All right, a woman who came in second in the 2019 championship 400-meter hurdles now wants to be declared the winner because she was defeated by a biological male. Trump, of course, has declared that there are only two genders, but even if he hadn't done that, guys, does this woman deserve the first place trophy? Ogie.
It's complicated, I know. But if there's certain guidelines and standards that you have to pass to compete as a woman if you are a biological man, and if the
You're
woman
talking about
has,
testosterone levels
yes,
and all that.
exactly, and if
It
they
should be-
passed it,
Yes or no, Dave?
I think she should get the medal, just like I think the boxer from that fought the guy from South Korea should get the gold in the
Keith,
Olympics.
what do you think?
I'm all for gender, whatever you want to be, that's your right. But I think that we know biologically men are more superior physically than women are. So I think she has a major point in terms of the award.
You, as just Keith Granberry, you're superior.
I know that, but and you know that, and the world knows that, so we don't have to really tell anybody.
It has
that,
nothing to do with
it. It has nothing to do with that. I'm gender fluid. You know?
What did you say about your fluids? All right, state lawmakers want to make it illegal for motorists to carry a child or a pet on their lap while driving. It's a distracted driving thing. If it passes, the new law would go into effect December 1st. If caught, you'd pay a $100 fine if the law catches you carrying a pet or a baby or child on your lap while driving. You want to see that bill pass, Ogie?
you shouldn't have a child in your lap. I'm not sure about a pet. That's where it gets a little iffy for me.
All right,
I think it needs to pass. It's not only distracting for the driver, but also for people who are looking at the pet. But I don't think these people understand that if that airbag deploys, their child, their pet,
You
whatever
break
they're
their
holding,
neck.
could
Yeah.
go.
Keith, what do you think?
I think that no dog, cat, animal, or child or any object should be in your lap while you're driving. I just think that's too dangerous.
Yeah, it is dangerous. All right, finally, guys, a British company has developed a habitat where people can live underwater for up to 28 days without surfacing. The habitat will be ready by the year 2027. Guys, would you like to live underwater in an underwater habitat for 28 days? Ogie.
I would not. I think about that submersible that exploded a few months ago,
but this is a whole habitat.
It's not for me.
Dave?
No, I don't think so. I'm already underwater financially.
Keith, would you like to live underwater for almost a month?
No, I got some people that I would like to live underwater.
Keith's got a whole list.
I got a whole village of folks that can live
Send
underwater.
you down under there.
Like those astronauts that went up for 3 days and stayed up for 9 months.
Yeah. You wonder what happened up there, don't you?
Gilligan's Island.
All right. Well, anyway, that's all the time we have. Oh, except for this. Farmers in France are now using acupuncture on their cows in order to make them healthier, which, it's like a whole new term. It's like cowpoke. It's a cowpoke. It's a different way of I don't know what that means. For all
Put
of us
them underwater for 28
put
days.
them under there. I'm Jim Longworth. We'll see you next week.